and told Michael, don't let your
A sigh of relief from the victim's family as the jury found 66-year-old Alfred Saario guilty of second-degree murder and discharging a firearm in or at a building. This verdict was delivered after 3.5 hours of deliberation about whether Saario's claim of self-defense in the shooting death of his 29-year-old stepdaughter Jamie Lee James was legitimate and truthful. Just hours before, Iron County prosecutor Melissa Powell and Saario's defense attorney Henry McRoberts addressed that very same jury for closing arguments. Powell recapped the week of testimonies, claiming that while James may not have been an angel, taking a cell phone without permission in a house that she most definitely had permission to be in from her mother was not reason enough to, quote, drop her like a deer, end quote.
2 wrongs don't make murder right. He isn't Clint Eastwood, and this isn't a movie. Our journey is nearing its end. You've heard now how one pull of the trigger devastated an Iron County family. You've heard how Jamie James died at the hands of someone who designated himself judge, jury, and executioner.
Powell asked the jury to find Saario guilty of first-degree murder, saying he had plenty of time to consider his actions because, as he testified, the whole ordeal took all of 3 minutes between the incident itself and pulling the trigger that ultimately led to the death of his stepdaughter. As premeditation is needed to convict on first-degree murder charges, Powell had the jury and the courtroom sit in silence for 3 minutes to show how much time Saario had to think about what he was doing.
He said he had 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to mark off 3 minutes right now and see exactly how long that is. That's 30 seconds. It's 1 minute. 2 minutes.
McRoberts took the podium and painted a picture of an aggressive and violent woman with a history of breaking the law and documented physical altercations with the defendant over the course of the last 13 years that his client was merely acting in self-defense. That, paired with the high drug levels found in James's body during the autopsy, shows she could have been in an altered state of mind during the incident that led to the defendant to fear for his life, according to McRoberts.
Mr. Saario does not have to prove that he acted in self-defense. That's clear. Instead, the prosecutor must prove, beyond reasonable doubt, that Mr. Saario did not act in self-defense. This is the highest burden of proof in our legal system of laws. It means that you must be firmly convinced that Alfred Saario did not act in self-defense.
Powell rebutted, arguing that the drugs in the victim system were sedative in nature, as testified by the pathologist who conducted James's autopsy. Powell added in her argument that not only was James not armed during the incident, but she was shot in the side, not straight on, proving that James was not approaching the defendant in a threatening manner. An X-ray conducted post-mortem during the autopsy confirmed this, showing 2 entrance and exit wounds from a single bullet traveling right to left through the victim's body. The jury did not buy the self-defense claim, but also did not find that the shooting was premeditated, so they chose to find him guilty on just second-degree murder. Saario will be back in court on September 21st for his sentencing. Reporting from Crystal Falls for ABC 10 in the CW5, I'm Chelsea Birdsall.